BC's drug poisoning crisis is showing no signs of slowing down. In 2015, a year before the province declared it a public health emergency, 529 people lost their lives to illicit drugs. Each one of those 529 had a story, a life lived, friends, relatives, and coworkers who knew and loved them, hopes and dreams, all dashed. We are about to hear one of those stories. Here to talk about Holden after and before love letter for a son lost to overdose is his mother, Tara McGuire. One of the things you write that's very powerful to me is that when we remain quiet, the burden continues to be carried by those who cannot bear it. Through dialogue, we have the opportunity to open our minds and our hearts. Now, that being said, how important was it for you to share Holden's story the way that you have?
It's terrifying. I really don't want to share it, actually. It's so private and it's so intimate and painful. But when I think about the thousands and thousands of people who have suffered the same loss that I have, and we're all just kind of sitting here in our houses by ourselves, it makes me think that it's a waste. I mean, all these lives are a waste. But if I couldn't face my own embarrassment and my own shame, like that's part of the stigma of substance use disorders. So I thought I've just got to get over myself and be willing to talk about it and to share that substance use disorders are way more common than anyone thinks. It's not just affecting people on the downtown east side. That is the impression that first comes to mind, but that is not accurate. So I thought I've got to talk about it so that everyone can talk about it. And I don't know how you would ever quantify something like this, but some of the most, I think, meaningful feedback I've been getting is from parents who have said, we've been having more open conversations with our teenagers. I don't know how you could ever measure something being preempted, but if a teen or a young person feels seen and understood, then perhaps we can prevent more of this from happening.
The heart of the book is your relationship with Holden and talking about where you were when you first learned of his death. You talk about not being there for him, but what would you have done? What could you have done?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I would think, it's so hard retroactively to think, how could I have done this better? I probably would have stayed closer. I would have paid his phone bill so he could have called me if he wanted to. I don't know if he would have called me, but he didn't have an active phone because I thought, I've paid for this phone bill for so long, you can pay for it yourself. Like that was just dumb. That was just me trying to prove a point. I would have asked more questions of him, like, how are you feeling? What, like, I didn't know that Holden was using heroin, but I knew that he was in a trouble with his mental health. I could have tried to ask him a lot more about how he was feeling, how I could be helpful, what was going on with him, and nurture that relationship so he would have been maybe more comfortable talking to me about it.
Did what happened to Holden change your parenting style with your daughter?
100%. Oh yeah, we talk about everything, and I don't she doesn't get in trouble, when she does things wrong. We talk about it in terms of, you know, what do you think about this? Maybe you could have done this a little bit differently, or, failure is a really meaningful part of life. How do we learn from this kind of thing? And I don't have a perspective with her anymore that she has to be like a quote good person. She is a good person, even within all of her mistakes and all of the mistakes that I make. And I'm the last one to give parenting advice, believe me, because it's such a difficult job. But I think that just a little more openness may have helped. You know what? And John, it may not have made any difference with Holden. I don't know. He was an adult. He's 21 years old. He was living his life and making his choices. So maybe nothing would have changed.
There's a wonderful part in the book where you talk about the graffiti memorial to Holden in East Van and what he would have thought of it. What do you think he would have thought of this book?
I hope he would be okay with it. I feel that he is okay with it. He would probably be embarrassed at the attention because he is a private. See, I keep talking about him as if he's still alive. He was a private person, but people write their names on walls really big for reasons. They want to be seen, they want to be heard, they want to be known. And I kind of just go with that. I hope he'd be okay with it. I think he wouldn't want what I think he's way more evolved now. Like I think he's in a place where shame and embarrassment do not exist. So let's go with he's fine with it.
Um, who do you think this book is for? Number one, and what do you hope they get out of it?
I think this book is for anyone, specifically anyone who knows someone struggling with substance use disorders. There's a lot. Anyone who's lost someone, and it doesn't necessarily need to be through drugs. Like this book is about grief and how it really feels to lose someone very important to you who you love and what that feels like. It can be a very isolating experience to lose someone. I think it's for young people. I think it's for grandparents who are losing their children, their grandchildren. They don't know what to do. I think it's for friends. I think it's for artists. I think it's for people who like to read.
Let's leave it there. The name of the book is Holden, After and Before, Love Letter for a Son Lost to Overdose. It's available from Arsenal Pulp Press. My thanks to author Tara McGuire.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate your thoughtful questions.